Well, this is a bit embarrassing, actually. We're recording this after the episode we've just recorded, which is the one you're about to listen to, but we somehow managed to completely forget to mention the main thing we wanted to talk about in the episode, so we're tagging this on the beginning. Next week is our 100th episode. Now, we had always planned to do a live episode for our 100th, which would have been difficult enough anyway with us both in the same room. It's now far more difficult because we're not allowed in the same room because of the COVID-19 lockdown here in the UK. But we're still going to do the live episode. It will be next Friday, so that is on the, I believe, the 10th of April, Bob, is that right?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to check after I've said yes. Let me just see. Next Friday.
Good Friday.
Next Friday is the 10th. Yes, April the 10th. Yeah.
Good Friday, and it will be a very good Friday because we're going to be doing Partners in Crime live from our own houses, so which is going to be a tricky technical undertaking, but we're going to do it. It will be at 6 o'clock in the evening UK time. That is to enable as many people as possible to watch and log on and watch us live. So if you're in the States, if you are on the West Coast, I think that's 10 o'clock in the morning your time. If you're on the East Coast, it should be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but 6 o'clock in the evening UK time, Partners in Crime live. You will need to be a member of the Partners in Crime Facebook group in order to watch that. We'll put the links in the show notes. Moriarty will do that. The group is it's facebook.com/groups/crime fiction podcast. It's the Partners in Crime Facebook group you want, not the Facebook page. That's where we'll be doing the live event. Shall we now cut and go into the actual podcast, Bob?
Well, I think that sounds like an excellent idea. Mind you, I have one question.
Go on.
What time will it be if you're in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
I don't have a clue.
Exactly. Sorry, everyone who's listening in Minneapolis, St. Paul, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure out for yourselves, and we'll do our best to find what time you can actually listen to the podcast in the Midwest.
This is Partners in Crime with Adam Croft and Robert Daws.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Partners in Crime, another one on lockdown, a remote coronavirus special. Couldn't think of a better name, Bob.
That's a very good name, yes, incredibly apt. You're very good at this sort of thing.
Well, I try to be. We have to be. It's all we've got at the moment. It's the only way we can do Partners in Crime. As you mentioned last week, we're less than a mile apart, and having to do this from the comfort of our own homes down the line via Zoom. So, apologies for audio quality, which is probably not the same as it normally is. We're not both in the studio. We're having to do things from our own home. Obviously, effects of the lockdown. And that lockdown, Bob, I've got a bit of a confession to make this week. The lockdown has done something terrible to me.
Please, there's no sign of it, no physical sign of it anyway. Pray do tell.
Well, not yet, but it has unleashed a monster that I thought was hidden. Okay, I thought was buried. Yes. 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, please go on. I'm bracing myself.
I was saying for the last 3.5 for the last 3.5 years, Bob, I've been clean. I was on the wagon for 3.5 years, and the coronavirus has ended it. Bob, I'm back on the coffee.
Oh, that is. Oh God, I'm getting quite emotional here. I mean, this is rather lovely. Oh God, I had no idea you were going to come up with. My God. Oh, well done.
For those of you who aren't watching on the video, who aren't Patreon subscribers, but a little celebratory fist pump in the silence there. Yes, I gave in to the cravings last Thursday evening. I just looked at the coffee pot and I thought, I really fancy one. I have half a spoonful. I've not touched green tea
sounds-
since. I've been having about 6 cups a day of coffee instead.
Cups. I thought you looked a little fresher in the cheeks. Well, I'm going to raise this, well, it's not a mug, it's a rather posh cup, this, with a B on it, for anyone who's actually watching this at home. I don't know what that's for. Anyway, so, congratulations. I mean, fantastic. Have you got a coffee on now?
I haven't. I've got water. I'll raise it here for anybody watching.
Not quite the full conversion. 6 cups a day. That's quite a lot. I have about 4, I think. But
we normally have 2 at mine.
Yeah, I do. But you are a more addictive personality than me. So I mean, congratulations! I'm delighted to hear it.
Well, yeah, it's. I'm enjoying it. I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm trying not to get too addicted as I was before, but then again, I just replaced the coffee addiction with green tea anyway, so it doesn't seem to have made any difference.
You still have the same amount of caffeine, but when are you going to be off the wagon regarding alcohol?
Oh no, I'm not going to stop drinking. That's just silly.
I thought you'd stop drinking as well.
No, don't be ridiculous. I'm drinking more than ever now. I'm locked at home. I've got a 3-year-old to worry about. So yeah, I just get blind drunk and things are much easier. If you can't watch us on the video, if you're listening and unsure how people are watching, it's because they're Patreon subscribers. They're also getting access to this episode a day early. If you want to help support the show, you can do so from I think £1. I think is the lowest amount.
Is that a Chuckle Brothers?
And you get a... Sorry, go on, Bob.
Is that a Chuckle Brothers?
Yes, if you're a Chuckle Brother. Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the list of the benefits here in front of me so that I can read those out and make it sound like I've committed them to memory, which I haven't. On the Chuckle Brothers tier...
Oh, hello.
Hello. On the Chuckle Brothers tier, which costs £1...
I can't quite hear you.
Can you not? Oh, well, we can hear you, so I'm going to carry on.
Oh, that's good.
On the lower tier, you get a personalised shout out on the next episode of Partners in Crime. You get an entry into every prize draw we do from now until eternity, and you get access to exclusive Patreon only content. On the middle tier, Dempsey and Makepeace plan, which is £2, you get all of those things. You also get access to these video episodes. You get to watch Partners in Crime, as well as just listening to it, and you get a free copy of the Partners in Crime Book of the Month every month. More on that soon. We are launching our first Partners in Crime Book of the Month. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you can now log in to Patreon. That went live on Wednesday morning with the discount code for how you can claim this month's free Book of the Month. That's Murder and Malpractice by Mary Chong, I believe. And if you're on our top tier, Randall and Hopkirk Deceased plan, you get all of those things, plus you get the Partners in Crime Arsenic and Old Lace after show, which we record, funnily enough, after the show, as well as behind the scenes videos and a signed postcard from Bob and I. So that is our Patreon plan, which is very nice, isn't it?
Well, it sounds absolutely lovely. I feel like joining myself. Well done for sorting all that out. I mean, what's the postcard going to be?
They are currently in production. I think you get them after having signed up for a month. So, they are being done as we speak.
It's the gift that just keeps giving.
It is the gift that keeps on giving, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, not exactly. You do have to pay a little something for it. But anyway, well, fantastic. I think that's absolutely great. So here we are with our weekly roundup of all things crime and thrillers. And I'm going to start off with something this week, if I may. Is this a good opportunity to actually say, I've been watching some televisione, and I have been watching a series, or several series actually, a few true crime series, which have been very good. I don't know whether anyone's noticed with true crime that you'll get a very interesting documentary, usually, but the conclusion is usually unsatisfying, unlike a drama, where most dramas come to some sort of conclusion, or even if it's a conclusion plus a cliffhanger, if it's a continuing series, or wants to be. The thing with a lot of these documentaries, of course, they're following the story for so many months or so many years, and there comes a point when they have to stop. and very often they stop without any conclusions other than the ones that you've managed to deduce yourself. So I've found with several of these that I've gone all the way along thinking, come on, I want to find out who did it. Is it the sheriff? Is it is it the drug dealer? Is it whatever? And at the end, no one knows, and which is always a little bit disappointing. But anyway, I won't name names, but that's happened to me on a couple of occasions in recent weeks while I've been in Lockheed Downey. But I have been watching a new television series called Unorthodox, which some of you may have heard. It's premiering on Netflix in the UK and on platforms all around the known universe. And it's fascinating. It doesn't come under crime drama in as much as there isn't so much a crime. It is about someone escaping and being followed. So there's a thriller element to it, but it's based on a true story. So I'll tell you what Stylish Magazine has to say about it. A lot of people no doubt have told you to watch Tiger King. I watched a few of those and couldn't manage to get through it, I have to say. Netflix's documentary about Joe Exotic, a gun-toting...
Try again.
A gun-toting polygamist. Oh, you think I'll be able to get that out, wouldn't you? Who presided over an Oklahoma animal park and the murder-for-hire plot that led to his arrest. And you will no doubt have noticed that the true crime series is getting a lot of digital column inches as armchair detectives all over the globe insist that animal activist Carol Baskin killed her ex-husband, Don Lewis. I haven't got that far, actually, and I probably won't. This writer, however, would like to steer your attention elsewhere. So can you please take a break from Tiger King for just a moment and talk about Netflix's Unorthodox instead? So here we go. So what's the plot for Netflix's Unorthodox? In a nutshell, based on Deborah Fillman's memoir of the same name, it tells the story of young, ultra-Orthodox Jewish woman Esther Shapiro, played quite splendidly, I have to say, with a standout performance by Sheila Haas, who flees her arranged marriage that sours as she struggles to consummate the relationship and produce a baby. After making her escape, Esty heads to Berlin with almost nothing, just her passport and a handful of cash, and does her best to start a new life. Does she manage it, though? Well, you'll have to watch it and see. There are no spoilers here, folks, and there won't be any spoilers from me. It's extraordinary drama. It's critically acclaimed, and in actual fact is the sort of the first drama series ever broadcast, I think, that is also in Yiddish. They go from English to German to Yiddish. Fascinating performances, as I say, based on a true story. And where's the thriller element in it? Well, you'll have to watch it to see, because it's very moving and it's beautifully done at times. But there is a real sense of jeopardy in the story, which I think is one exciting and, as it's true, deeply upsetting as well. So that's my pick to watch on television this week. That's Netflix, if you have it, or you'll find Unorthodox on some other platforms. Maybe, I don't know, but most people have got Netflix, I think. Watch it. It's extremely good. I've got one episode to go. There are 4 episodes in all, and I've got one more to go, which I'm going to watch the, as they call, season finale this evening. All right, that's that one. Over to you.
Lovely. I've got some reading recommendations as well I'm going to do. But first of all, I'm going to dip into the news. A couple of news sources this week have commentated on the fact that book sales have been rising, which is good news. Well, for everybody, really. BBC had an article that said book sales surge as readers seek escapism and education. Sales of fiction have risen by a third. Children's education went up 234% to the third highest level on record. Puzzle books, handicrafts and true crime have also seen sharp rises. And Nielsen, who keep track of how many books are sold in physical bookshops, said the rise for paperbacks may have been down to an increased footfall in supermarkets. But physical book sales are now expected to plummet after the public had been told only to shop for essentials when necessary. Book chains like Waterstones have shut their doors and they're only taking online orders. But lots of people are doing great things to keep people interested in books and stories. For example, David Walliams, his new book Slime is out already, actually, if you're listening to this. He's releasing a free audio story from his World's Worst Children series every day for a month. Cressida Cowell is reading a chapter of How to Train Your Dragon to children on the Book Trust Home Times virtual hub. J.K. Rowling has relaxed copyright restrictions on her books, which now allows teachers to post videos online, reading Harry Potter books out to children stuck at home. Illustrator Oliver Jeffers is doing a daily stay-at-home story time on Instagram, and more than 110 free Sesame Street ebooks are available, along with virtual Elmo hugs. And everyone needs a virtual Elmo hug at the moment, don't they?
Yes, well, I certainly do, if I knew what it was.
Well, Gizmodo have put an interesting spin on this.
Oh, what's that?
I think we've got a delay on the line slightly, haven't we? But I'll carry on. They have written an article about the fact that book sales have rocketed and real crime has dropped. They say in their article, book sales have rocketed by enormous percentages while the numbers of recorded crimes have plummeted because, they say, even the crack addicts are too scared to go rooting around strangers' houses at the moment, lest they infect themselves while pocketing a still warm and recently touched remote control. Waterstones say online sales have rocketed by 400%, and they are literally the next words that follow on from the remote control. Various police forces are reporting huge drops in crime stats of as much as 20% week on week so far. As burglars, they say, stay at home. Again, direct quote, violent drunks haven't got any open Weatherspoons to hang around outside looking for someone who's looking at them wrong. And shoplifting has plummeted because there aren't many to go in anymore, and those that are in operation are policed at the door. That's word for word from Gizmodo, not from me. I thought that was an interesting take on things anyway. You're looking at me agog, Bob.
Well, no, not for the first time, and certainly not for the last. Yes, well, I am. That's quite interesting. I suppose it is quite hard to do any shoplifting when you're social distancing 6 feet apart, because everyone can see you. You know, going around the supermarkets, I believe I haven't been out because I've been poorly, and so I don't know. But what I've seen on the television seems to suggest that your average shoplifter is going to have a tougher time getting stuff away than normally, and quite rightly so. Fascinating. Yes. Well, good for book sales. Good for book sales.
Yeah. Yeah, I've managed to avoid going out as well. I haven't left my house now in a week and a half, getting on for 2 weeks. We've managed to have
same here.
Yeah, we've managed to have shopping delivered. I had to wait a while for the slots, obviously, and getting bits and bobs.
Have you not exercised?
I
have you not exercised at all? Have you been out for a stroll?
I went for a little walk around my road with my son a few days ago. But other than that, I've not been anywhere. I've not left my street anyway in best part of 2 weeks. Been out in the garden a fair bit, keeping myself fit that way. I've got my exercise bike upstairs as well. Been getting through some Netflix on that occasionally. Until I did my knee in yesterday.
Exercise bike. Oh, I'd love to see that.
I know.
Good gracious. Well, when this is all over, I'm going to treat myself to a couple of minutes on watching you on your exercise bike.
Oh, well,
that will be an absolute treat. Oh, that's very good. Well, I've been out for a little bit of walk. I try and get out only yesterday and the day before because I've come to the end of my symptom lockdown. But just a little stroll.
I think it's a tether.
Well, yeah, that as well. And it's quite extraordinary. It's very spooky out there. It really is. I mean, there are people walking, obviously, to do some shopping or just to get their hour's exercise. But everyone's observing this, this distance, thank goodness. And indeed, I spend most of the time crossing the road to avoid someone coming down towards me. But one thing I have noticed, actually, that this social distancing from me is nothing new. I realise it's been happening to me all my life. People crossing the roads to get out of my way or avoid having to talk to me. So, but it seems to be working in our neck of the woods anyway, thank goodness. So people are observing it, although there are still discretions countrywide, I hear, by people having parties and just really not getting it.
No.
Which by this stage is fairly disturbing, isn't it?
Well, they will get it if they carry on, and by it I mean, of course, COVID-19.
Yes.
I have been doing some reading while I've been at home as well. Last week was pretty good, so I managed to get an hour or so out in the garden each day. When I say out in the garden, I don't mean exercising or doing any garden work. I mean lying on my sunbed. During which time I read this, which I'm holding up the evidence for the tape. For those of you who are watching in our Patreon group on the video, it's The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell, which has been on my bookshelf for a little while now, and I really enjoyed it. It's split between the present day and the early 1990s. I'll read the back for you because that's what we do. Would you? I will. In a large house in London's fashionable Chelsea, a baby is awake in her cot. Well fed and cared for, she is happily waiting for someone to pick her up. In the kitchen lie 3 decomposing corpses. Close to them is a hastily scrawled note. They've been dead for several days. It's split between the present day and the early 90s. The baby, which is referred to there, reaches 25 years old at the start of the book, and that kicks the protagonists of what happened back then into action. It unwinds slowly, but very well. It keeps you gripped throughout, keeps you guessing as well. There's plenty of little twists and turns along the way, so definitely recommend that. The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. I've also...
Can I just interject momentarily?
Do.
Of course, that was a book that I actually recommended a month ago. So...
Oh, right. Well, good. Okay, I'm recommending it too. So there you go.
Finger on the pulse. It's obviously we're really on top of content with Partners in Crime.
Yeah,
I think you said at the time, "Oh, I really fancy reading that."
Well, you can tell how.
And this just goes to show you're a man of your word.
Yeah.
You went and read it.
Well, you can tell how much we plan this podcast and how much we listen to each other when we're talking. I was very kindly sent by Penguin a copy of this, which I'm holding up for the camera, even though it's not actually going to be the final cover, because it's a pre-publication copy of Gillian McAllister's new book, How to Disappear.
Oh, I like Gillian McAllister.
Yes, I know. It comes out, it's out the 9th of July this year in ebook and paperback, so I got it a few months early.
That's ages.
I know.
That's ages.
I know, but I'm special, so I got it really early. It is... I'm not putting too fine a point on it when I say this is my book of the year so far. It's gripping, it's twisty-turny. As you know, Bob and I, we love Gillian McAllister. We think she's absolutely brilliant. As I say, it's my book of the year so far, without a doubt. It's got great characters who you really empathise with, and whose mind you can definitely get into, and you can follow all of their decisions they make, the good ones and the bad ones, and you can completely sympathise with their situations. Gillian, frankly, goes from strength to strength, and I can't wait for her next book.
Certainly does. I can't wait for it. I'm going to have that after yours if you actually just wipe it down.
I finished it. I'll wipe the COVID off of it and I'll send it over to you.
I'll buy my own, actually. I think that's probably not only the most hygienic thing to do, but it's the honourable thing to do, because I think people should buy the books that they read on the whole, unless they get a wonderful free gift from Kobo, which is very nice. So Gillian McAllister, I think she's a terrific writer. It's one of my favourites. So thanks for that recommendation. I will pre-order it.
I'll read the back, shall I? Because I didn't actually tell you what it was all about. It says, Zara thought she was doing the right thing. Lauren wants to protect her daughter at all costs. Zara witnessed a terrible crime. Lauren will give up everything to keep her safe. Lauren doesn't know what Zara is hiding. Zara is a girl who is a witness to a crime, and she testifies in court, as a result of which has to go into the protected persons scheme, witness protection, effectively. And the family is torn apart by that, divided in two, and there's a bit of I don't want to go into too much detail, I don't want to give away the plot, but the tension ratchets up throughout. When you think the case is over at the start and the court case in the initial chapters, it really isn't. That's only the beginning of the story. So yeah, highly recommend that. It's How to Disappear by Gillian McAllister, available to pre-order now, an ebook and paperback. Highly recommend you order, of course, the ebook from Kobo, who very kindly sponsor this podcast. If you've not had an ebook from Kobo before, then go and get one now. You don't need one of their wonderful devices. You can just read on your phone or your tablet or your computer. Head over to kobo.com, enter the promo code CRIME at the checkout, and you'll get 90% off of your first purchase with them. If you're an existing Kobo customer, you can go through the link in the show notes and use the promo code PARTNERS, and you'll get 40% off of your reading material for life. What was I going to say next? Oh yes, in terms of books from Kobo, we mentioned that if you are one of our Patreon subscribers, you get a free book every month. This month's book, April's book, is Murder and Malpractice by Mary Chong. If you're a Patreon subscriber, log into your members area and you've got the code and the link to get that book for free now. Hello to our new patrons this week, to Darren Harper, Emma House, Laura McConnell and Tony with an I, Biardi. Hello to you. Welcome to the Patreon programme.
Hi guys, nice to see you.
You can join for
£1
if you want to join, if you want to watch us on video, if you want to get your free book. You get one every month. If you want all those other things I mentioned earlier, head over to patreon.com/Partners in Crime podcast, or check out the link in the show notes. Bob, your turn.
Yes, thanks very much indeed. Well, here's a writer that's new to me, Peter Swanson. I'm sure everyone who's listening.
I'm reading one of his at the moment.
Ah, which one?
I cannot remember the name and I haven't got it with me.
Well, it may be Rules... Is it Rules for a Perfect Murder?
No.
Because it's also called My 8 Favourite Murders. It's a book with 2 titles, and on Kobo they have it as Rules for a Perfect Murder, but elsewhere they have it as Peter Swanson's My 8 Favourite Murders. And I found this, and I thought of you immediately, Adam, because I thought this is right up his cup of tea. Fiendishly good fun, says Anthony Horowitz, and, let's face it, he should know. If you want to get away with murder, play by the rules. A series of unsolved murders with one thing in common. Each of the deaths bears an eerie resemblance to the crimes depicted in classic mystery novels. The deaths lead to FBI agent Gwen Mulvey to a mystery bookshop, Old Devil's... I'll read that again. The deaths lead FBI agent Gwen Mulvey to mystery bookshop, Old Devils. Full stop. Owner Malcolm Kershaw had once posted online an article titled My 8 Favourite Murders, and there seems to be a deadly link between the deaths and his list, which includes Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders, Patricia Highsmith's Strangers on a Train, and Donna Tartt's The Secret History. Can the killer be stopped before all 8 of these perfect murders have been... And then my printer ran out of ink. So I don't know what that means, but perfect. That's a cliffhanger. If everyone, I'll read it again. Can the killer be stopped before all 8 of these perfect murders have been? That's it. So if you want to find out whether he can be stopped, get the book on Kobo, Rules for Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson, a fiendishly good new thriller from the best-selling author. Sounds great fun to me.
It does. Before She Knew Him is the one that I'm reading at the moment. I've just looked it up on Tinterwebs.
Yes.
That's a great book. Very much enjoying that at the moment. In the news, let's go back to that, shall we? There was an article, we see them every now and again. Why is crime fiction so popular? Why is true crime so popular? This time our Antipodean cousins have got in on the act. ABC News in Australia carried an article entitled, fittingly, From Crime Fiction to True... From crime... And that is spelt... so it's From Crime Fiction to True Crime, Why We Can't Get Enough of the Genre. The article says, you would be forgiven for thinking that in a news cycle that has been getting increasingly darker, people would turn to light entertainment to find refuge and comfort. But crime continues to be one of the most widely consumed genres for men and women alike, thanks in part to the many mediums we can now consume it on. Between podcasts, streaming services, YouTube channels and good old-fashioned paperback books, crime has embraced every entertainment platform, and as such, the genre is showing no signs of going anywhere. Emily Webb from the Australian True Crime podcast said people are controlling the kind of media they're consuming now, and crime is more accessible than ever. In fact, Apple Podcasts noticed that true crime was getting so popular they actually created a separate true crime category last year. So that is now a category of its own on Apple Podcasts. Emily Webb says it's because it's so accessible. And a lot of podcasts, actually, and this might interest you, Bob, a lot of podcasts have been turned into TV series recently.
Really?
Can you imagine a Partners in Crime TV series?
This would be a sitcom.
Yeah.
and not a very funny one. Carry on.
Yes. Dirty John was a podcast before it was a Netflix hit. So was Tiger King, which has been very popular this week. And Netflix has actually released 10 true crime series so far this year, which, considering this was at the end of March, this article was written, is quite extraordinary. Law and Order has become the longest running US live action series last year, entering its 21st season. Of course, Midsomer Murders has been going on for approximately 320 years.
It started. It was called Cadfile when it first began.
It was, yes. Very good, very good. And basically, people seem to be loving crime, and it's going from strength to strength. That's the takeaway from that. But yeah,
that's just as well, isn't it?
Looking.
Oh, actually,
yes, it is.
Yeah, well, I've got a piece of news for listeners as well. I was looking through Kobo's recommendations or whatever, and I find that I think it's out as an audio drama in May. But if you want to pre-order it now, I'll probably mention it again once or 300 times over the next few weeks. A series that I helped create, myself and Brian B. Thompson, called Truman and Riley, is available on Kobo. Something in the region of, I think something in the region of nearly 20 episodes. I think two detectives in Hull. They moved to Leeds for the second series, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And it was really my entree into crime, thriller writing, crime investigation stories. Although Brian wrote them, I performed it. I played Chief Inspector Truman, and the wonderful Duncan Preston, lovely actor, plays Sergeant Riley. They're good fun, full of humour and twists and turns, so they're going to be available on Kobo soon. So if you like an audio drama, there are lots of different episodes to download and listen to there in your quiet time, and hopefully we'll be out of lockdown by then.
Yes, I remember actually a few years back a wonderful day out at Broadcasting House with you, watching the recording of an episode of Truman and Riley, or two episodes, right. I think, that day.
That's it, you came up to the famous studio in Broadcasting House, the world famous studio up on the 6th floor, where all the great radio dramas are recorded. They've got other dramas, wonderful recording out at Maida Vale and up in Manchester, other studios as well. But that's the iconic one in Broadcasting House, and I can remember you sitting in with the director's box and finding it all quite interesting, which is amazing considering you actually having to listen and watch me for a few hours. But anyway, there we go.
Well, there were downsides to it.
There always are. I mean, you still haven't stopped. You're still having to look at me over this strange medium. This is an extraordinary way to broadcast, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what people will be able to see, because I'm actually not I don't get to see the podcasts like this. And how do I get to see them? Sort of
by being a patron, frankly.
Oh, right,
I can send you the videos.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Well. But yes, for anybody else, please do join as a patron. It is expensive, time-consuming, but jolly good fun producing these for you.
Oh, I see. I thought you said being a patron member is.
Well, that too. Yeah,
is expensive and time-consuming.
Yes, so we get no money out of it. It just keeps us running, essentially keeps us on the air. So thank you to all of you. I think, Bob, what we should go and do is go and grab another cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And then we can record Arsenic and Old Lace.
Oh, of course, yes. We do two now, don't we?
Show, because we're well over our allotted 30 minutes now, and I've got all of these things I still wanted to talk about here.
Oh, really?
Of me, so,
well, anyway, so everyone can leave.
Show.
Greatly relieved that you didn't get round to those. So it's good night from me.
We're not doing this again, are we?
What do you think?
Oh, I don't think that's the correct comeback, is it? I think I might have messed that one up.
No, it's perfectly all right. You've got to see it, bollocks and all. Oops, sorry, no, I can't. I think we'll have cut long before this, don't you?
No, I think we'll end it there instead.
Partners in Crime was presented by Adam Croft and Robert Daws and produced by Adam Croft. The theme tune was by the Caesareans. The Partners in Crime logo and imagery were designed by Stuart Beisch. Partners in Crime is sponsored by Kobo, your favourite local bookshop, perfected.